Welcome back. It's your friendly German psychologist here, and the waiting game is officially over. As mentioned in our previous teaser for this video series, this finally is the first video of the video series, targeting the brainwashing that has always kept you stuck in your addiction. It is created only for one purpose: to help you stop relapsing. Therefore, in this video, you'll discover why you keep relapsing, what you can do to stop falling back into it, and what has all this got to do with smoking. So, why do you find yourself stuck in relapsing, and what can you do to finally break free from it? To answer this question, let's first look into what actually happens when you relapse. Let me illustrate the process of relapse through an example, Tim's example. Tim is a 25-year-old young man. He really wants to stop watching porn and masturbating since he has noted his porn use is negatively impacting his life. But one day when Tim is alone in his room, he feels lonely and bored. To distract himself, he decides to pick up his phone. He starts scrolling through social media. Then he stumbles upon an image of an attractive girl in a bikini. He notices sexual arousal rising, leading him to want more. He starts craving to watch pornography. But didn't he want to stop watching porn? He remembers his commitment. But at this moment, the urge hits him very strongly. Facing this strong urge, Tim half-consciously tells himself, "I'll do it just this one time." He also thinks, at least it doesn't hurt anyone. In the next moment, he finds himself typing in a porn website on his phone and relapses. After the relapse, in regret, Tim might ask himself something like, "What have I done?" or "Why did I do this?" Does this sound familiar to you? I bet it does, but what led to the relapse? Before acting out, Tim, without knowing it, went through the relapse cycle. The relapse cycle is a model I developed to describe what's happening during a relapse. This enables us to intervene before the relapse occurs, using the right intervention at the right time to prevent relapse. In this video and the series to follow, we will target one specific step of the relapse cycle. We are going to provide you with a powerful shield against slipping into relapse precisely when temptation strikes. But believe me, there are many more steps we'll target during the next months, and there is a lot more to come. Okay, that being said, let me explain the relapse cycle through Tim's example. The relapse cycle starts with emotional vulnerability. On that specific day when Tim relapsed, he felt bored and lonely to begin with. Some emotions such as stress, anxiety, shame, boredom, and loneliness increase our vulnerability to addiction. Experiencing these emotions makes us more susceptible to triggers and temptations. They further impair our ability to deal with triggers and temptations wisely. That's what it's like for Tim. He doesn't just experience boredom and loneliness, he has in fact never learned to deal with uncomfortable emotions directly. So he does what he's always done: distract himself. Tim grabs his phone and scrolls through social media. In doing so, he stumbles upon an image of a pretty and barely clothed woman. This is the second step of the relapse cycle, the trigger. The image triggers his sexual desire, even though the woman in the image is not naked. The fact that she is barely clothed activates Tim's porn-associated brain circuits. It's like having an appetizer of all the sexual images and videos Tim has watched on porn websites in the past. He notices sexual arousal and the desire to get more of it. What Tim experiences is the third step of the relapse cycle, the urge. The picture is not enough. Tim craves to get more. This is when the reward system in Tim's brain gets involved, releasing the neurotransmitter dopamine, which doesn't just release a pleasurable feeling in pursuit of more, but also creates a slightly painful experience when turning away from the desired stimulus. But Tim doesn't know about these things. Consciously, he only notices that he really wants to watch pornography. But then, for a brief moment, his inner conflict pops up. And you may well know this brief moment of conflict. Tim had actually sworn to stop watching porn. But at this moment, urges are strong, and within a few seconds, he'll have an excuse available to act upon his urges. What he thinks is, I'll just do it this one time, and at least it doesn't hurt anyone. These excuses we call justifications. Such justifications are offered by the addictive brain to lead you toward the pleasure-associated stimuli. Neurobiologically, in Tim's case, as these justifications have served his addiction to get him into watching porn and masturbating in the past, the justifications hit him strongly as they were coupled with high loads of dopamine. This causes him to experience great pleasure in buying into the justifications and acting upon the urges. His ability to think rationally is compromised, and the whole process leading up to the relapse feels tremendously rewarding to Tim. With his porn-related reward circuits being activated, and after having bought into these justifications, Tim decides to relapse. The decision makes the very last step of the relapse cycle before the actual relapse. In making the decision, Tim may think to himself, I'll do it, I'll watch porn, supported by the dopamine rush he's experiencing and justified by the two excuses he'd just had in mind. Tim then watches porn and masturbates. The final step of the relapse cycle, the relapse itself. After the relapse, Tim feels horrible having broken his commitment. He may experience shame and guilt, which increases his emotional vulnerability for several days, making the next relapse even more likely. The relapse cycle begins again. If Tim's experience sounds familiar to you, let me assure you that you are not alone. From the very bottom of my heart, I want to support you in breaking free from porn and masturbation. But how are we going to get there? For you to achieve freedom, we want to target the relapse cycle step by step, starting in this video series with one of the very last steps before relapse. We want to look at what directly led Tim to the decision to watch porn and masturbate. His justifications. You remember? Tim thought, at least it doesn't hurt anyone, and I'll do it just this one time before he decided to act out. These justifications were necessary for his addictive brain to be brought up to get Tim to break his commitment through succumbing to the urges. After buying into these justifications for just a moment, Tim seemed to have lost the battle and immediately decided to watch porn. Justifications matter. Tim's do, and so do yours. If the justifications had not come up, or if at least Tim's thoughts had been crystal clear about them being lies, he would have stayed with his commitment instead of slipping into relapsing. Your justifications may be different from Tim's. Maybe you tend to think something like, it helps me to relax, or I need it, or I simply cannot bear it any other way, or even masturbation is healthy. Whatever it is that leads you to justify relapsing, let me assure you, it's a lie. This may sound extreme to you right now, but trust me on this point. As we delve deeper into this series, you'll gain a crystal clear understanding of this. Okay, let's have a brief look at Tim's justifications. When thinking about them rationally, outside acute temptations, Tim may find solid reasons why his justifications may not be true. Think about it. At least it doesn't hurt anyone. Is this really true? Maybe watching pornography does in fact hurt someone. It may even hurt Tim in some way. Also, think about the justification, I'll do it just this one time. Could you imagine that maybe giving into relapsing leads to another relapse within the next couple days or so, making this one probably not the last one? There is much more to say, and we'll delve into these two ones in detail later, I promise, but I think you may have already gotten an idea of what we're aiming for. However, in the very moment of temptation, when the dopamine circuits of your reward system are giving you a rush, let me tell you, it will be much more difficult to do a rational analysis of any justification. And this is what we're about to fix. We will equip you step by step so that you'll have the right insights present in the very moments of temptation, enabling you to identify the lies, not fall into them, and as a result, stay sober. How are we going to achieve this? Through solid preparation and repetition. And even if this may sound difficult, it will be without any effort for you. I am going to do the work, and the only thing for you will be to follow me through the videos of this series and to repeat watching them. Therefore, in the upcoming videos of this series, I will target all the potential justifications you may have in mind, setting you up for relapsing. I will debunk each one of them in detail, one after the other, and I will do it in a way that ingrains deep into your brain, so that when your addictive brain offers these justifications to you again in the future, you won't ever buy into them again. I adapted this method from the famous British author Alan Carr, who has empowered countless long-term smokers to quit their smoking addiction without any effort after only reading his book. Carr's approach ingeniously dismantles every conceivable justification a smoker might cling to, leaving them with no reason to continue smoking. This is exactly what we'll do with porn and masturbation in this video series. We will delve into the transformative power of this method to help you break free from the grip of porn and masturbation. Let's revolutionize your approach to temptation. These videos hold the key to ultimately crushing those tempting excuses. Make watching these videos a habit, and you'll be amazed as your justifications fade away, paving the way for a relapse-free journey. Now, of course, breaking a years-long addiction isn't a one-size-fits-all deal, but this strategy will be a game-changer as you walk towards freedom. Any questions on your mind? If so, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. If not, hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the exciting content waiting for you in this series. Thanks so much for watching.